Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. Listen, if you're a student diving into neuroscience for the very first time, well, you are in the perfect place. Today, we're going to explore one of the absolute most fascinating cognitive mysteries out there, which is how our brains actually experience the passage of time. It's this wild biological phenomenon that affects every single one of us every single day.
All right, to kick things off, I want you to do a quick thought experiment with me. Seriously, wherever you are right now, just close your eyes for a second. Okay, think back to the last summer of your childhood. Really picture it. How long does that summer feel in your memory? It feels like months and months, right? Okay, keep your eyes closed, and now think about your most recent summer as an adult. How long does that one feel? Probably just a few weeks, maybe even less. Okay, you can go ahead and open your eyes.
Now, really think about that comparison for a second. We're talking about the exact same physical duration, the same number of days, on the exact same planet. But as an 8-year-old, your summer was packed with these dense, super vivid memories. And as a 30-year-old, it's just this blurry, fast-forwarded blip. This perfectly illustrates what we call the shrinking time problem. Time itself didn't change at all. Your own biological machinery warped your experience of it. And the coolest part is, we can explain exactly why.
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First up, we've got the 3 theories of time. Second, we'll hit adrenaline and memory density. Third, the neuroscience of novelty. And finally, hacking your timeline. Let's get right into it.
Okay, Section 1, 3 theories of time, investigating how the brain measures days. So the foundational concept we need to look at here is called the memory density theory. Basically, when you experience something totally new, like, say, a new school or trying a new food, your brain has to work incredibly hard. It's encoding lots of fresh details, which creates a really rich, dense memory. And when you look back, all that extra detail makes the time feel like it lasted longer. But when you do the exact same daily commute and eat the exact same lunch for years, your brain encodes almost nothing. The memory is super thin. So time isn't magically slowing down for kids. Their brains are just relentlessly full of firsts. Now let's look at another angle, the proportional theory. Take a look at that massive 20% slice right there. When you're just 5 years old, one single year makes up an enormous 20% of your entire lived experience. It's huge. Your brain is constantly, unconsciously comparing every new unit of time against your total lifespan. But watch what happens as we get older. For a 50-year-old, that exact same one-year span, it shrinks down to a tiny 2% slice of their life. It's literally a rounding error against their total denominator. And because that denominator has grown so incredibly large, each new year feels fundamentally smaller by comparison. This is exactly why a 2-week holiday felt like an absolute lifetime at age 10, but feels like a quick weekend blur at 40. Okay, the third theory has to do with absolute clock speed. Researchers measuring reaction times and interval timing have actually found that kids genuinely process information faster. A child's brain literally has a higher neural firing rate and a super active dopamine system. Because more mental events are happening per second of real time, a second actually feels longer to them. As we age, our neural processing slows down just a bit, meaning we get less mental data out of every biological tick of the clock. And you know what's crazy? This isn't even a completely new revelation. Over 100 years ago, back in 1890, the pioneering psychologist William James described what he called the empty time problem. He realized way back then that as routine increases, our perceived past naturally contracts. Moving right along to Section 2, adrenaline and memory density, or the slow motion effect. You've probably experienced that weird feeling when time seems to literally slow down during a scary moment, right? Like a near-miss car accident or watching a glass fall off a table in slow motion. Well, imagine breaking down a timeline of less than a single second. At 0.2 seconds, your brain records the glint of light. At 0.4, the sound wave. In these intense, high-stress moments, adrenaline just floods your system, which accelerates your neural processing. Your brain suddenly encodes an enormous, incredibly dense amount of detail in mere fractions of a second. Now, compare that high-alert crisis moment to just a totally routine second, like just reaching out and opening a door. You barely record any data points at all. So, the absolute crucial takeaway here is this. During a crisis, you aren't actually slowing down time. You are just recording way more of it. And the crazy part? Kids live in a mild version of this alert state almost all the time, just because everything is slightly novel to them.
All right, Section 3, the neuroscience of novelty. Let's look at the brain's chemical tags.
Okay, if you're taking notes for your Intro to Neuroscience class, here is your major biological anchor. The hippocampus. This is the memory formation center of your brain. It's the actual physical location responsible for processing and storing all these highly detailed experiences we've been talking about.
And working right alongside the hippocampus is dopamine. Now, you usually hear dopamine talked about as just a reward chemical, right? But in this specific context, it acts as a vital chemical tag. It signals directly to the hippocampus that an experience is novel, essentially yelling, hey, look at this. This is important. Remember this.
Let's actually step logically through this biological sequence. Step 1, a novel experience occurs. Step 2, dopamine is released in the brain. Step 3, the hippocampus receives that dopamine tag and encodes a dense, high-resolution memory. Boom! This is exactly how novelty physically translates into that feeling of expanded time. But here's the catch. The exact opposite biological effect happens to us as adults. Routine completely suppresses that dopamine release. Your brain realizes, I've seen all this before, so it just predicts your day instead of actually recording it. Memories form at a really low resolution. And retrospectively, because there is so little new data stored up there, this low resolution tricks your brain into feeling like less time has actually passed. It just becomes a fast-forward blur.
Which brings us to our final section, hacking your timeline. Let's look at the reversibility experiment. So don't worry, there's a highly practical payoff to all this. To see the sheer power of neuroplasticity in action, researchers ran this amazing 6-month study. They compared adults stuck in their normal, boring routines against a group who deliberately introduced novelty. Things like new walking routes, brand new hobbies, and totally new social environments. The result? The novelty group consistently rated that 6-month period as feeling significantly longer. It proves that your memory architecture isn't broken as you age. It is literally just starving for new data.
We also kind of have to acknowledge that this is partly an industrialized problem. Think about the stark contrast with traditional hunter-gatherer societies. Studies actually show that they maintain low routine and high daily novelty across their entire lifespan. Older adults in these cultures report a much more continuous sense of rich, expanded time compared to the high routine, accelerating time of modern adult life.
So as you continue your neuroscience studies, keep this in mind. That amazing biological machinery that made your childhood summers feel absolutely infinite, it hasn't switched off. The richest memories aren't the longest experiences. They are simply the ones with the most firsts. So take this new knowledge of your brain's incredible architecture, step outside your daily routine, and go find some firsts. The real question is, what's the very next first you're going to feed your brain today?